Growing up, one of the most common questions you get asked in school to write an essay for is, who is your hero and why? I could never answer that question. There was always people I admired and looked up to, but no one I thought of as my hero. It wasn't until I grew up a little bit more and had some more experience and history behind me that I actually found a hero. Uh, and this story will show how the true essence of a person is shown during some of the most difficult times. Now, this story is only in part my own. The three main characters of this one is my oldest brother, Corey, and his friends, Mike and Tiana. Now, Mike and Tiana came very suddenly into my life when they moved in with us, and when I was probably in 8th grade. They were great people, and I instantly took to them. Tiana was a sister I always wanted, and Michael was hilarious, and they were together, and you could just feel the love they had for each other. Michael was tall, skinny, very blonde, very unsure of himself, whereas Tiana was short, very dark-featured, had a big booming laugh, and knew who she was and what she wanted. She was also pregnant. She was expecting a little baby girl. Now, Michael and my brother worked together, so they became very good friends, which is why they moved in. And they were just so happy, and they brought such joy into our house. Tiana was the first one to show me how to stand up to my brothers, and she taught me how to make homemade spaghetti sauce and play Mary Had a Little Lamb on her flute. And so that continued for a while. Then I moved away. I moved to my father's house to go to high school in Santa Cruz, and eventually Mike and Tiana also moved. They went back to Kansas to have their baby with the family. Kansas. Unfortunately, my brother didn't do so well with everyone leaving. He spiraled down. He got into drugs and drinking very heavily. He found new friends that weren't actually really good. And eventually, one of them shot him up with enough heroin for 2 people in one go. He almost died. It was actually kind of a shock that he didn't. He came home after that and locked himself in his room, covered all the blinds, and was absolutely positive someone was after him trying to kill him. Eventually, this high went away, and we thought he would stop, but he didn't. He kept going. We were all very sure that he was going to die, quite literally. Now, there's always things that happen in life that change people, only if you let it. We got a phone call from Mike that they had had a second baby girl, and everything was going well. And that was great. It was an update. But then later, we got another phone call. Tiana had been killed in a car accident. He asked my brother to go out there to help with the babies and the funeral. So he did, and that was in a good way. It was sad that Tiana died, but it got my brother away from his friends. He was out there for at least a month. He stopped drinking, everything, and then we got another phone call. Mike had killed himself. He couldn't live without Tiana. So Corey stayed out there to help with the baby girls and the grandparents, and I think he took away something from him. He cleaned himself up. He wasn't drinking. He wasn't doing drugs. He was being the strong person that the family needed so badly at that time. And now, to this day, he has his own family. He has a wife and a little stepson who's adorable. And he still lives in Kansas. He has a steady job that he's had for 10 years now. And he still every year goes and visits Mike and Tiana's graves, because I think he knows that unless they had died, he himself would have died. And sometimes it takes a tragedy to pull a person from the depths of wherever they get lost. And as one was needed, unfortunately one struck. And I know this didn't happen for a reason, so glad that he was able to take this and learn from it and change. And it's really hard to change. I know we all say, you can learn new tricks, you can become a different person, but to actually do it, and especially in such a hard circumstance and time, it's really impressive that someone can do that. So around that time, I discovered that I had a hero in life, and it was my brother.